It's March 14th, 2012. You're Dave Whitney.
Yep.
I'm Eve Wells, and this is an interview for the Classic Jazz at Lincoln Library. So, that was a wonderful program you just did.
Thank you, Eve. I had a good time doing it.
Well, I think everybody enjoyed listening to it too, watching it.
Can't go wrong with all the people we had.
Oh, it's so wonderful to see them young.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. You just freeze them in time on film. They stay the way you remember them.
Right. What made you pick trumpet?
Good question. I think the thing that got me on trumpet was when I was in school. A group came to the school from one of the instrument companies to demonstrate the horns. They had a trombonist, they had a baritone horn, they had a trumpet and a tuba probably. I kind of liked the baritone horn at first, but then I think my dad or my mom might have said, well, you might have a little more luck with a trumpet. It's smaller. I was a little guy anyway. A cornet or a trumpet would probably suit you. Baritone's kind of a big instrument. So I took the trumpet and really took to it. And then not too long after that, I kind of discovered trumpet players on TV like Louis and Harry James, and started watching some of the old movies about jazz like the Young Melba Horn and the Pete Kelly's Blues, and I really got attracted to cornet and trumpet and started researching into the old timers, the guys like Louis and Bix and Bobby Hackett and Bunny Berrigan and people like that.
That would have been, what, in the 70s? Or?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and date myself. I was born in '52, so I started getting into trumpet around, I guess I was about 8 years old. Yeah, 1960. Yeah, I started right in the school system. Just went right up the line. Just school band, and then junior high band, then the high school band. Was
your school lucky enough to have a jazz band as well as the marching band?
We didn't. We just had the marching band. This was a little bit before the schools really got into jazz, at least not the schools I went to. So it was just the marching band. We put on a concert every year. We did some light classical. But I was getting into jazz. I was already buying jazz records and watching jazz on TV. Not too many of the kids in the high school band were into jazz, but I was.
So when did you start playing with the jazz group in any way?
I had a little combo right out of high school, but we just played kind of a mixed bag of music. We did general business. We did some waltzes and polkas and Latin music. We did a few jazz tunes, but probably the first jazz group I worked with was the Yankee Ribbon Kings in 1975, Bob Connor's band, which was a great traditional jazz band. It had the two trumpets, myself and Paul Monette, and we did a lot of the Lou Waters, Turk Murphy, and Bob Scobie book, which I was starting to get into and really enjoyed a lot. Still enjoy it.
And then, after that, what other groups?
Well, let's see. Ribbon Kings I was with a good 6-7 years, and at the same time I was building up my own small band. And I also started doing a lot of work with Craig Ball and the White Heat Swing Orchestra.
Oh.
Yeah. And I also played at various times with the Heritage Jazz Band, John Sheehan's band. And I started working with a big band, Chris Powers' band, who was out of the Lowell area. And eventually I inherited a lot of Chris's library, which I've used with my own big band, which I've had now for about 20 years or so. So a lot of the arrangements in my own big band come from Chris's band. And he had an excellent band. He did a lot of his own arranging.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was a very talented arranger. Yeah, yeah.
So do you ever do any arranging yourself?
I'm not talented in that respect. I depend on other people to do the arranging. I have either arrangements that other people did, and some of the guys in my band can arrange, like Steve Dale, and he's written a lot of arrangements for my big band. But a lot of the ones I have were done by Chris Powers, who was very clever. He could take a lot of the old classics like Tommy Dorsey and Artie Shaw or Glenn Miller and make it sound just like the original.
But you do your own solos and things.
Oh, sure. My solos, I listen to a lot of the old classic solos, and sometimes I play them the way they were originally done, but I'll do my own version of it too a lot of times.
Yeah. I've heard some of those.
Yeah.
What do you like doing the most?
Style-wise, it's hard to say because I love it all, but I've probably always been very influenced by the traditional jazz. I like the Dixieland, the New Orleans. I'm also very big on big bands. I kind of cut my teeth on big bands, so I like a lot of the swing and big band music. I even like a little bit of the contemporary, not too far out, but I'll listen to some modern jazz too from time to time. I don't play it too much, but I'm familiar with it.
Mm-hmm. I know that there are just so many different ways of playing a trumpet. And you just play it so clear and neat, and I don't know how to describe it, but it's...
Well, I guess a lot of it comes from listening. I've been blessed with a good ear, and over the years I've done an awful lot of listening. I didn't go the route that a lot of fellas go, like maybe going to Berkeley or the New England Conservatory, but I've done a lot of listening, and I've been lucky in that respect. I've been able to listen to the greats like Louis Armstrong, or Bix Beiderbecke, or Bunny Berrigan, and take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some Bobby Hackett, some Dick Cathcart, who wasn't as well known as those fellows, but a very tasty player, and been able to mix it all up a little bit with some Dave Whitney, and it comes out pretty good, hopefully.
You haven't mentioned you're a great vocalist.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, the vocals are something that kind of came along slowly. I never really sang too much in the early days, but I always loved the guys that played trumpet and sang, like Louis Armstrong, Louis Prima, Wingy Manone.
You sound better than Louis.
Well, they had the gravelly type of voice.
No, you have a very nice voice,
well,
and your diction's good.
Well, I also listen to a lot of the great pop singers too. I listen to Sinatra and Perry Como and Dick Haymes and Bob Everly, so that part of popular music I was very much into too. So I took a little bit of the jazz, and I took some of the fellows that sang, that crooned and sang. Bing, of course, was a great influence. Again, I mixed and matched a little bit of all those fellows and put some Dave Whitney in, and that's my vocal style.
Which do you prefer singing? I mean, which tunes do you prefer singing?
Well, I guess originally I did a lot of jazz, you know, like traditional jazz things, scat singing and things of that sort. But I guess nowadays I like to sing ballads and medium tempos and standards. But it's very easy for me to go back and do my old style, you know, do the old traditional jazz and, you know, sing a 1920s tune and maybe do a little scat on it.
I'm just expressing a personal taste. It's just so nice to hear a good voice, good diction, and on pitch. You know,
well, we try.
No, it's very nice.
Oh,
it's most enjoyable. What do you think, where do you think that this is all going to go?
It's hard to say because our audience is getting older, the musicians are getting older, even yours truly is going to hit the big 6-0 eventually. And the younger guys that are coming up, there are some good ones, but a lot of them are just getting more and more into progressive type of jazz and more avant-garde idioms. So it's hard to say. I think there'll always be jazz and classic jazz because, like classical music, it's a great part of American music, but I think it's going to be, unfortunately, maybe more of a minority, more of a quiet taste. I wish it wasn't, but I can see it going that route because I've been doing it now myself for almost 40 years, and there's still an audience out there for it, but it does seem to be dwindling, unfortunately.
Well, you know, I'm so impressed with the fact that YouTube has brought out many, many people who otherwise would never have seen it. What you did tonight, a show showing early musicians and so on and so forth, will keep a lot of it alive, and not everyone is ancient that was in there. There were a couple of people that weren't.
No, we had some younger folks. Yeah.
Not many.
And people of my age group, which are younger. Yeah.
Yeah, and people of my age group, which are not younger. But,
yeah, that's all right.
But I just think that it's nice that we can have the YouTube stuff that, as you were drawing, all the archives of movies and things like that.
A lot of these things are available on YouTube. Just about everything I played tonight, you can either get on YouTube or maybe go to a link that will get you on there. Yeah, it's great stuff.
What, we'll finish shortly. What do you think people would like to know about Dave Whitney?
Oh, Dave Whitney is a very uncomplicated guy. He's been into music ever since he was in grade school. He's always been kind of an old-fashioned guy. I think I was born 40 years old. My taste in movies is very old, too. As I mentioned tonight's program, I watch a lot of Turner Classic Movies, and I'm a big movie nut, like a lot of the old comedians, the Marx Brothers, the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy. So I'm sort of a nostalgia buff in general, so it was very easy for me to get into this idiom of music. But Yeah, Dave Whitney is just a guy that got into music at an early age and is still at it and probably will always be at it and just loves it. And I'm still happy to be able to make a somewhat of a living doing it. I've always done just music for a living, and it's a bit of an adventure, especially with the economy the way it is nowadays, but I managed to eke by and keep my head above water.
That's important.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really helps.
yeah.
But I think your enthusiasm gets your audience very much engaged.
Well, people say that, and I'm always very happy to hear that. And I guess if you can still have the kind of enthusiasm I have for the music at my age now, it'll always continue. I see a lot of musicians that just kind of go through the motions, and I kind of feel sorry for them, so I'm glad I still have that kind of youthful approach to it. I guess I always will.
When I go to Acton, there's a wonderful group, you've played there and so on, but I have noticed a difference when you're there. There is a very different feel to it.
Oh, okay.
And that's certainly not a negative to any of those
Sure,
good musicians.
I know all those fellows, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
and they're all good.
Yes.
But when you're there, I haven't quite put together what gets added, but there's very definitely, your personality comes out. It's very definitely upfront.
Mm-hmm.
Your singing adds to it. It's just really nice.
Oh, great. Well, thank you.
I'd like to see you around many more. You're going to be around a lot longer than I am, but I'd like to see it.
Well, we hope so anyway.
Thank you, Hal.
All righty.
Thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you, Eve. My pleasure. Good to be here. And I hope they enjoy it out in TV land.